Good morning. This is for English 7, Wednesday, April the 8th. Let's look at your answers from homework first, okay? We looked at page 184. Your homework was questions 4 through 10. Okay, number 4, Jesus ate with the disciples at the Last Supper. Jesus ate, A-T-E. Number 5, when the teacher asked a question, all of her students rose or raised their hands. Raised. Number 6, on Sunday morning, my pastor spoke about the reality of hell, and I thought or thunk much about what he said. I thought. Number 7, when he busted or broke his arm, he had to be taken or took to the hospital. When he broke his arm, he had to be taken to the hospital. No, said Santiago, I ain't or I am not going to the art gallery today. I have a football game. I am not. Number 9, several vandals snuck or sneaked into the house by rising or raising a window. Several vandals sneaked into the house by raising a window. Remember, rising does not have an object. Raising always has an object. What was being raised? The window. But the sun rose. It did it all by itself, okay? Number 10, thank you for bringing or taking my medicine to me. Okay, you gotta think about the direction it's coming. It's coming towards, so thank you for bringing my medicine to me. I can't get around well since I took sick or became ill. Since I became ill. And I hope none of you have become ill. Exercise E on page 184. We're talking about subject-verb agreement. Let's review for just a minute before we do that. Subjects and verbs have to agree in number and in gender, okay? If you have a subject, let's say that it says Vanya and Omar sit in the first row, okay? Vanya and Omar gives me a what kind of subject? Compound, two people doing the same thing, okay? So Vanya and Omar would be sitting, wouldn't they? All right, because there's two of them. If I say that a subject has a nor in it, if I say Mrs. Turner nor the teachers, okay, of City Baptist is or are going to church today. Mrs. Turner nor the teachers of City Baptist is or are. We are, because teachers is plural, and that word is closer to the subject. Now, if I said the teachers of City Baptist nor Mrs. Turner is or are. Is, because now the singular noun Mrs. Turner is closer to the verb. Okay, let's do a few of these together. Number 1. There is or are many characteristics which should identify a Christian. Remember, the word there and here are not our subjects. What is? Characteristics, okay? Many characteristics which should identify a Christian. So it is are. There are many characteristics. $20 is or are enough to pay the bill. Is $20 individual bills or a unit? It's one unit, so $20 is enough to pay the bill. Neither faith nor good works is or are good by themselves. What are we going to look at? We're going to look at the subject, works, because it is closer to the verb. So we would say works is or works are. Works are. Okay? The eyes of the Lord is or are over the righteous. What's your subject, guys? Eyes. If you said Lord, it's not. Lord is the object of our preposition. Eyes are over the righteous. Number 5, mumps is or are contagious to those exposed to it. So it is a, so is a complaining attitude. Okay, mumps is, remember mumps is one of those unusual words like mumps, measles, civics, acoustics, some of those words that are always singular. God don't or God doesn't honor a selfish man's desires. God doesn't. There's one true God. Here are, or here is, 2 of David's outstanding qualities: loyalty and faithfulness. Okay, of David's outstanding qualities is that prepositional phrase. So we know our subject is never here or there. So is or are 2? 2 are. Okay, so here are 2 of David's outstanding qualities: loyalty and faithfulness. Our students is or are writing letters to Mr. Snyder, who is ill. Okay, the answer is are. Our students are writing. More than one student is writing a letter. Let's look at exercise F. Here, they want us to take the italicized word and write its use. Abbreviate as follows. Is it the subject of our sentence, the predicate nominative, the direct object, the indirect object, the object of the preposition, the appositive, or the direct address? Now, we're going to do that, but I'm going to ask you some additional questions about our sentences, okay? All right, let's look at the first one. I wrote a couple of these on the board. I didn't write all of them because of room, but I did write a few. Let's look at these sentences and decide how these words are used. Now, the 2 words in our sentence that we're supposed to decide on are Harrison and class, okay? So, let's look at this. Harrison, did you learn about photography in your journalism class? What's the first thing you do when you analyze the sentence? You find the prepositional phrases. So when we look at this, we say about photography and in your journalism class, okay? Now, we had 2 words we were supposed to talk about today. 2 words. They want to know, how is the word Harrison used? Well, let's look at it again. Harrison, did you learn about photography in your journalism class? Who am I talking to? I'm talking to Harrison. So Harrison is a what? It's the person I'm talking to. It's the direct address. When I speak to you, if I say, Stephanie, are you looking at me? Who am I talking to? Stephanie. So Stephanie would be a direct address. If I say, McGuider, are you wearing a jacket? Who am I talking to? McGuider. McGuider would be my direct address. If I say, Abel, is this your pencil? Who am I talking to? I'm talking to Abel. And if that's who I'm talking to, that is my direct address. So in this sentence, put a DA for direct address. Remember, direct address is who I'm directly talking to. Okay, it's direct address. The second word it asked me about that's in italics in your book is the word class. It's the word class. Look at where class is. It's right here. It's at the end of a prepositional phrase. So what is class? Class is the object of a preposition. Looking at your sentence, what is your verb? Did learn. And I know your book did not ask you, but again, we're getting ready for a big test. I want to make sure you're ready. What is your subject? You. What kind of verb do you have? You have a action verb, learn, okay? Do you have a complement in this sentence? You do not, okay? Look at the next sentence. Photography, the art of capturing images on film, can provide a person hours of enjoyment. First of all, what's the prepositional phrases? Well, of capturing images on film, all right, and of enjoyment. What is the verb in our sentence? What is the verb? What's left? Photography, the art, can provide a person hours, because of enjoyment is a prepositional phrase. So my verb is can Okay? Who or what can? Photography. Wait a minute. The word they asked me about is the word art. Art is not my subject. What is art? Art is in a positive. Art, A-B-B, put that right above it. Art is in a positive. Art is telling me what, it is better explaining photography, okay? The next thing that it asked us for is the word film. Film. What is film? Film is the object of a preposition. Let's continue analyzing. Photography can, can provide what? It can provide hours. What kind of verb is can provide? Can provide is a action. Very good. It's an action. So if I have a subject and an action verb, I need to look for my complement. We said photography can provide what? It can provide hours. Hours then is a direct object. Photography can provide what? Can provide hours. Hours is our direct object. Can provide hours to whom or for whom? That would be person. So person is the indirect object. Now let's check this for a second. We have a sentence pattern. We know that photography is the subject. We know that can provide is the verb. Then we have an indirect object and a direct object. Are those in the right order? Yes, they are. Again, you always find the indirect object between the verb and the direct object. It cannot be anywhere else in the sentence. Look at the next sentence. Composition, the arrangement of objects, is an important part of any photograph. So step one to analyze this is to find our prepositional phrases. Composition, the arrangement of objects, so of objects is a prepositional phrase, is an important part of any photograph. Sorry about that. And it is of photograph is a prepositional phrase. What's our verb? Look again. Composition, the arrangement, is an important part. What's the verb? Is. Who? That's our verb. Who or what is? Photography. Composition. Wrong sentence. Composition. Composition is the subject. Now, if composition is the subject, and that is one of the words it asks us about, what is arrangement? What is arrangement? Arrangement is a positive, because the arrangement of objects clarifies what composition is. So arrangement is the positive, okay? What about a complement? Is there a complement? Composition is. What kind of verb do you have in is? It is a linking verb. Since it's a linking verb, I have only two choices of complements. It might be a predicate nominative or it might be a predicate adjective. So I have to look after my verb and say, is there a word that renames my subject? Or is there a word that describes my subject, okay? So composition, the arrangement of objects, is an important part of any photograph, okay? So what equals composition? What equals composition? Part. So part is equal to the composition, so it is a predicate nominative. With that in mind, what's the word important? What kind of a part was it? It's a important. So important is an adjective. What is the word and? I don't even need to think about the questions because I know that the word a, and the, those three words are always adjectives. Okay? Same thing here. The word the is an adjective. By the way, composition is doing the job of the subject. But what part of speech is it? It is a noun. Nouns do the job of a subject, okay? Let's look at the next one. I I couldn't fit any more on the board, so we'll have to just use our book now. The salesman showed Alejandra several new camera models. Okay, prepositional phrases. What did you find? There are none. So what's the verb? Showed. Who or what showed? Salesman. Salesman showed what? Salesman showed models. So models is the direct object. Salesman showed models to whom or for whom? Alejandra. So Alejandra is the indirect object. Julia Margaret Cameron was an early photographer. Her portraits of famous people are known across the world. Prepositional phrases are of famous people and across the world. So, what is the verb? We have the verb was, that is a linking verb, and we have the verb are known, are, okay? Which is a linking verb, are is. So, who or what was? Juliet Margaret Cameron was. Was is a linking verb, so if I'm going to find a complement, I have to say what's my predicate nominative or my predicate adjective. In this case, I find the word what? Photographer equals Juliet Margaret Cameron. If photographer equals that person, it is a predicate nominative. Good. Then it asks us the question, what is the word portraits? Portraits is a subject. Okay, it's the subject of the second half of the sentence. Okay, and what is the word people? It is the object of the preposition. Remember, in order to give me the direct objects or indirect objects or positives, you have to analyze it. You have to go through the steps. Find your prepositional phrases. Find your verb. Find your subject. Ask yourself, what kind of verb do I have? Then look for complements. Okay, make sure if it's an action verb, you look for a direct object, and then you look for the indirect object. If it's a linking verb, look for your predicate nominative or predicate adjective.